Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something I find absolutely fascinating. That exact intersection where ancient martial arts philosophy lines up perfectly with modern anatomical science. If you strip away all the myths, the movies, and the mystical lore surrounding classical martial arts, what you're actually left with is a highly sophisticated, scientifically grounded system of human biomechanics. So let's break down the actual science that makes the impossible seem entirely possible.
So, let's just jump right in and pose the ultimate martial arts riddle. How in the world does a smaller, physically insubstantial fighter effortlessly defeat a giant, physically superior foe? I mean, if you've ever trained in literally any physical discipline, you know the urgency of this question. Usually we try to solve it by hitting the gym, lifting heavier weights, and just trying to muscle our way to victory. But let's be real, as we age, relying on pure brute strength is a losing battle. The true answer here doesn't actually lie in your athleticism at all. It lies entirely in your physical structure.
To solve this riddle, we really need to understand a couple foundational definitions that drive martial mastery. Because spoiler alert, there are no magic secrets here. There is only principle, which is the intellectual concept or the why we do what we do, and technique, which is the practical execution or the how we actually move. A lot of practitioners get this backwards. They confuse technique, which is memorizing a bunch of choreographed routines and dancing around the mat perfectly. But genuine high-level mastery means deeply understanding the scientific principle of your body structure and then flawlessly executing it.
All right, moving to Section 1, deconstructing the spine and the myth of the straight back.
This completely debunks a myth we have literally all been taught since childhood, the whole stand-up straight command. A perfectly straight vertical back is actually a cultural posture, not an anatomical one. Think about it. When you force your spine into a rigid vertical column, it functions like a weight-bearing pillar, which puts a terrible amount of stress right on your vertebrae. Anatomically correct posture, on the other hand, features a general concave curvature to the anterior, meaning you have a slight forward hollow. This allows your spine to function not as a stiff pillar, but as an incredibly flexible suspension bridge.
I absolutely love pulling up this pop culture exchange from the Terminator because, well, despite being funny, it makes a profoundly serious point. Whether you are a classical martial artist trying to redirect a massive punch, or, a literal sci-fi cyborg, ultimate physical efficiency requires detailed files on human anatomy. You simply cannot properly defend, strike, or move without a flawless understanding of the machine you are currently operating. Which brings us to Section 2, the Arched Vertebral Bridge, and engineering effortless power. By adopting this naturally concave vertebral arc, you suddenly unlock an entire cascade of biomechanical advantages. It's actually a lot like the protective fetal position we naturally curl into when we're threatened. This arched bridge structure physically shields your vital internal organs. And because the skeletal structure is naturally balancing your weight, it pretty much eliminates unnecessary muscle tension and relieves all that hydraulic pressure on your spinal discs. When your muscles aren't constantly firing just to keep you from falling over, your limbs are suddenly freed up. And that means incredibly rapid, totally effortless movement.
So think about how you're sitting or standing right now watching this. You can actually physically establish this relaxed, structurally perfect arch in your own body in 4 really simple steps. First, get your feet parallel. Then you do a lumbar slouch by gently rotating your pelvis upward, kind of like it's a bowl holding your internal organs. Next is the thoracic slouch, where you just relax your shoulders forward, almost like you're hugging a giant beach ball. And finally, the cervical slouch, simply dropping your chin down. By doing this, you are essentially letting go of all those tense posterior muscles that work overtime just to keep you rigidly upright.
Okay, on to Section 3, gravity and the center line, and finding the Sha Dantian. Now, perfect balance in classical martial arts revolves entirely around this concept of the Sha Dantian. And look, this isn't some mystical, glowing energy center. It is your literal anatomical center of gravity, located right down near the center of your pelvis. When you stand in that perfectly relaxed, arched bridge posture we just went over, your 7th cervical vertebra at the base of your neck, your Sha Dantian, and your heels perfectly stack along your body's center line. When you're aligned exactly like this, you effortlessly redirect the downward pull of gravity and any incoming force from an opponent straight down into the floor.
And this brilliantly illustrates the classic Tai Chi diagram in action. We usually view yin and yang as these purely philosophical, almost abstract concepts, right? But here we see it as a strict, hard and fast biomechanical reality for managing force. The dual nature of your structural arch means your concave interior, the yin, is perfectly designed to receive and absorb incoming pressure. Meanwhile, the convex exterior of your back, the yang, is structurally engineered to repel pressure. So ancient philosophy and modern architectural engineering are literally saying the exact same thing here.
Let's move into our final section, Part 4, the mind-body engine, wuwei, and vital energy.
To truly unlock this level of power, we have to utilize the Daoist principle of wuwei. This translates to effortless action, or non-interference. Think about it. When we learn a new physical skill, we almost always overthink it, right? We tense our muscles and we force our bodies into unfamiliar positions through sheer willpower. Wuwei is all about letting go of that conscious mental control. It's about using your pure intent to accomplish a goal and trusting your newly structured, totally relaxed body to just move naturally to achieve it without micromanaging every single muscle fiber.
And hey, speaking of what powers those muscle fibers, 37.2 trillion. That is the approximate number of individual cells in your body. It's a staggering number. Every single one of those cells acts as a microscopic biochemical reactor. And what do you think powers these trillions of reactors to produce the energy required for your physical movement? The most vital component of all, your breath.
The crucial point here is bridging the gap between the internal and the external. We tend to think of breathing as internal and throwing a punch or walking as external, but they are completely interdependent. The oxygen from your internal breathing fuels the cellular aerobic respiration that literally creates the energy required for your external movement. If you hold your breath, or even just breathe incorrectly while trying to strike, you are quite literally cutting off the fuel supply to your cells. Internal breath and external motion have to be perfectly harmonized into one single, unified action.
This quote from an ancient Chinese text beautifully summarizes everything we've just discussed. The ancient masters intuitively understood that sure, food provides the raw building materials, but it is the oxidation process, the vital breath energy, that actually makes the body strong and fast. It is just incredible to see how these early philosophical observations so seamlessly anticipated what we now know as the modern biology of cellular respiration and blood flow.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on regarding how you inhabit your own body every single day. Are you constantly fighting gravity with a rigidly straight spine, micromanaging all your tense muscles, and holding your breath the second you exert effort? Or are you ready to adopt the arched bridge, embrace effortless action, and finally let your body breathe and move exactly the way it was anatomically designed to? The science is pretty clear, but the choice is absolutely yours. Thanks for joining me today, and keep exploring.